Is your business losing momentum? Has growth come to a grinding halt? Are you ready to get your business back on track? Or are you stuck in a dead-end job? Ready to get rid of the commute and cubicle and finally kick the J-O-B habit? Then you're tuning in at the right time. Get the resources, directions, and strategies to accelerate your business growth, income, and success during this episode of Boss Academy Radio. Boss Academy Radio. Brought to you by Actus Sales Intelligence. Look in the mirror. It's time to meet your new boss. Here's the man who's been there and done it, our resident business superstar and host of Boss Academy Radio, Paul Kirch.
Hey, welcome to Boss Academy Radio. I'm your host, Paul Kirch. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new to the show, Boss is all about business ownership success strategies. Yes, that's what Boss stands for. And so we are here to make sure you walk away with some things you can leverage immediately. And today we have a guest that's going to be talking about the sales process and how entrepreneurs can take advantage of some things to simplify your life. Before we get to that, I just want to share with you, please come out to bossacademy.com, subscribe and follow along so you can get updated on the next interview. You can get exposed to our expert network, and you can learn a little bit more about some of the stuff we're doing behind the scenes to help make the entrepreneurs' lives more, because we are here to help you take your business to the next level. I was a guy who spent 21 years in corporate America, wanted to own a business. I had a great career. I kept making more money. I kept getting more stability. The less likely it ever seemed I was going to start my own company. So when I did, it was kind of a big deal. And I also know what it's like to feel that way. And I want to make sure you don't ever feel that way. I also know what it's like to feel like your business is struggling. I don't want you to feel that way. I also know what it's like to feel success. We want to make sure you feel lots of that. So come out to bossacademy.com. And follow along. And if you're an iTunes user, you can always go out to bossacademy.com/iTunes and give us some feedback out there. Subscribe to the show. We do use that feedback to measure how we're doing. So please give us some nice feedback. And if you don't like what we're doing, I'd say keep it to yourself, but I really want to know, because we want to make sure the show always continues to grow. Right now, we're knocking it out of the park with our reviews, but we want to make sure it stays that way. So I mentioned sales. Our guest today is the hardcore closer. His name is Ryan Stewman. Don't let that name fool you. He's somebody that knows how to engage people. He knows how to build relationships, earn trust. He knows the sales process better than a lot of people, and he's going to take us through some steps that help him grow his business and help his clients grow theirs. Ryan, welcome to Boss Academy Radio.
I'm excited to be here, Paul. Thanks for having me, man.
Well, absolutely, and it's hilarious. You're probably 60 miles away from me over in Dallas. I'm over in Fort Worth, but yet we're doing this by Skype. It's almost like you could be anywhere in the world. I love technology for that reason, but it's almost comical because that's the world we live in today.
It is surprising. It was like, oh, yeah, we're practically neighbors. That's rare. I'm used to talking to people from all over the place. It's like, that's awesome.
I love the fact you were so open with me the other day when we talked offline, and it's why I wanted you on the show, because, man, you've got so much experience, and you are out there hustling. You're working harder than just about anybody I know, but, you had a tough upbringing. You faced some challenges in your life that would have derailed a lot of people. You mentioned you were adopted. You've been in and out of prison. You've faced some hurdles in your life that so many people would just make excuses from. How is it that you were able to overcome that and create this amazing mindset of just going and doing it?
It's just pure determination. I think at this point, for many years, it wasn't always the way it is today, obviously, right? But for many years, Paul, I asked myself, why do I keep falling a victim to this? When the second time that I went to prison, as you mentioned, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was living the right life, and I was doing the right things. I had a legal job and everything else. And, I never really thought of myself as a victim, but I always wondered why these things happened to me. Now that I'm older, and I haven't been through everything, obviously, but I've been through a lot. I feel like I was put here on this planet to go through this stuff so that I could have the experience and the experiments and the expertise to be able to come on shows like this and talk about it and be real with everybody. There's plenty of people out there that'll tell you their world's perfect and rainbows and sunshine, and they ride a unicorn to work every day and go to church on Sunday, and everything's always been a blessing. And I think that the marketplace needed to hear the real truth from somebody that's been through a lot. And more important than than just hearing from somebody who's been from a lot and me talk about those experiences. I think the reason I've had so many bad experiences is so that I can connect with so many people. It's very rare that somebody's like, yeah, well, he may have done this, but he hasn't done that. Or he may have made this mistake, but he doesn't know what it's like to be this way. And I think I've made enough mistakes in my life, fortunately / unfortunately at this time, to gain the experience of damn near everybody that could have a really rough situation, or the magnitude of all my stuff compounded together could be just about as bad as any dire situation there is.
Well, it's no wonder you've got a couple books out on the market. You probably have a lot of books within you because you've got a lot of background that's obviously got you where you are today. Okay, so let's talk about your background in sales. Now, you are an amazing sales leader, and you're out there doing some amazing work to help entrepreneurs and other people. I mean, I watched one of your videos you'd done where you were actually working with people in the automotive industry. And, you always think about people in the automotive industry as being really buttoned-up salespeople. But you were bringing some amazing insights that I think that the average, even expert salesperson out there forgets. And I think that's where the real power is. People sometimes scoff at sales training. It's not about learning something you've never heard of before, because sometimes you're going to learn something new. But those are the things that are hard to implement. Often the power and the real quick turnaround and the money comes from stuff that we know we should be doing, and we're not doing it because we've forgotten it, or it's become not part of our habit and our routine. So talk a little bit about how you got here from a sales background and some of your philosophies.
It's true. We forget like 60% of everything we learn every day. So to assume that you remember 100% of everything that you've ever learned about sales, even a master salesman like myself, I mean, that's just kidding yourself, right? I mean, we humans, we rely on cell phones and stuff as the thing to retain information for us these days, because we lose so much on a daily basis with the attention span that we have. But
today we're probably more lazy about it than ever because we do have those electronic devices.
Yeah, you don't read a map or remember where people's houses or clubs or anything are anymore. You just put it back in GPS and let it take you aimlessly there again on autopilot. That's how I live my life anyway. I don't remember people's phone numbers or any of that, so I just rely on technology. But back to sales. When I was young, I was 13 years old, and it was my first experience going into sales. My adopted dad, he ran a car wash or multiple car washes, and he let me sell car washes to people. So I literally started off selling car washes. The cool thing about that, though, is these car washes were in urban areas, really busy. So like there's one right here in Dallas on Greenville and Walnut. There was one in, or they're still there. There's one in Irving on Beltline and Findlay, and those are really high volume locations within those cities. And so on a regular day, there might be 600 to 1,000 people. On a busy day, there might be 12 to 1,400 people come through there. And I was the lone salesperson. It was my job that if they come in and ask for a $6 car wash, to bump them to an $8 to $10 car wash, right? Just bump up every person that comes in there. And so at a young age, I got to deal with hundreds and thousands of people on a daily basis, tens of thousands of people on a monthly basis. And I just did like anything else in life, man. I did the experience. I had the experience and did the experiments to become an expert. And I realized, after having that many turns on people, I realized, what worked and what didn't work. And I was constantly evolving and crafting my sales pitch. Then as I turned 18, people gave me sales books. I didn't even realize stuff like that existed, right? Like people gave me sales books and sales audios. Then I started investing in my own and going to seminars. And I've been ever since, I got a thrill out of closing somebody, even on an $8 car wash. And I've just been a student of the game ever since. And that car wash, that one of the customers gave me a job in the mortgage business, right? I literally went from washing cars one day to financing houses the next. I made the most of that opportunity, which led me into the real estate world. I made the most of that opportunity and so on and so forth. But it's been sales that fueled me this whole time. And I honestly believe that car wash built that foundation, because it built a no fear attitude within me. So what if they say no to a $10 car wash? But it also gave me the experience of making thousands of sales on a weekly basis.
Good for you. I worked at the Gallup organization my first 10 years out working, and I was a telephone interviewer for the first couple of years, doing surveys with people at home, and I also did B2B surveys. I tell you what, you learn rejection doesn't mean much, because I faced it every day and multiple times. And I mean, the stuff people would say to you, but you just get to the point where you realize it's not about rejection. It's about, okay, every no is closer to a yes. I mean, I learned that lesson early on.
Absolutely. Every no is closer to a yes. And if you know what you're selling is good and you know that it can help your audience out, no just means that they're not sure, right? And the reason why I say that is when people aren't 100% certain that the decision they make is going to lead to the results they want, that's when they say no, or I don't know, or check back with me, or they start playing that objection recorder over and over. The only way that people make a decision to do something with you, no matter what you sell, is that they're 90+% confident that you can get them the results that they really want.
Okay, Jeffrey Gitomer, obviously a sales coach, author, has been very successful. One of his philosophies has always been people hate to be sold, but they love to buy. Yep. I'm not sure if he coined that. I've heard that phrase said in multiple ways. How do you get to the point where you've got people wanting to buy versus you selling them? Because that's a big difference.
That's actually really easy. Comes down to flipping the sales process on them. Now, when I say that, here's what happens. We get on a sales call, and there's two sets of anxieties. There's the anxiety on the behalf of the prospect, and they're like, what if this dude sells me something that I don't want? What if I end up buying something that I don't like? What if I get sold? And then there's the anxiety on behalf of the salesperson, like, what if they don't buy what I'm saying? What if they don't like what it is? What if they tell me no? What if I wasted my time? How am I going to pay my bills this month if this person doesn't buy for me? And when you put two people together and they're both anxious, I can tell you from firsthand experience, being locked up on the inside, that's never a good thing, right? It's never like a smooth transition or any of that stuff. And that's oftentimes why sales are blown. However, the way to flip that around is to set an agenda with that person. Once you get them on the phone, go, hey, I'd probably like you did with Gallup's, like, hey, if you don't mind, I'd like to take a couple of seconds to ask you some important questions to see if or how my services are a best fit for you, or if we can even help you at all together. If you don't mind, answer those questions, and at any point, feel free to interrupt me, and I'll answer any questions you may have as well. But instead of trying to just sell them, interview them, reveal what it is that really promoted them that really provoked them to be there. Because oftentimes, when I work with loan officers, here's a prime example. Loan officers are trying to sell a mortgage because that's what they do for a living, is right, make money from mortgages. But nobody wants a mortgage. What they want is a house, and a mortgage is just a means to, like, a necessary evil and a means to be able to acquire what they want, which is the house, but they don't have enough cash. So you're not really selling mortgages. What you're doing is you're trying to uncover the reason why they want that house, and then when you sell that reason and the mortgage as a solution, it changes everything. But you have to ask them questions first to figure out what it is that's provoking them to want to purchase that house, because there's only a handful of reasons that people buy a house, right? Just a couple of examples. They're having another kid. Their kids are going off to college. They're getting relocated for a job. They're finally moving into their dream neighborhood. They're, just little small things. There's only a handful of finite reasons that would cause somebody to move from one house to another, because borrowing money and moving is a pain in the you-know-what. And so that's what your job as a salesperson is, to uncover the real why, right? So understanding that people may not exactly want what you sell, but they want a result of something that you sell helps. And then also, like I said, interviewing them to reveal what it is that true motivation, because once you sell to that true motivation, that's when it's a lot easier to make a sell. But you don't know that if you don't ask questions.
Well, and that's so important today. The old ABCs, they always be closing. I'm not saying you don't close. You and I both know that that's part of the process. But if you're closing out of the gate without getting to know them, without earning their trust, man, it's such an alienating process today.
It is. I always say that sales is a series. Closing is the grand finale in a series of smaller sales and smaller steps taken. So, for example, in my world, I advertise to a funnel, to like a phone call, and then close, right? So my first sale is getting them to look at the ad. My second sale is getting them to read the ad. My third sale is getting them to do whatever that call to action on that ad was. The fourth sale is getting them to that landing page. The fifth sale is to get them to give me the information on the landing page. The sixth sale is to talk them into getting on the phone with me now. And then when I get on the phone, the seventh sale is to talk them into giving me what it is their true problem is. And then the eighth sale is when I can finally step in and present the opportunity that really exists in front of them, and then ask them for the business. But if I don't cover each one of those steps, I haven't earned or taken their direct path to closing. And that's where a lot of people have lost, because they just look at sales as one big thing. But what I've learned from a friend of mine who happens to be a rocket scientist is if you break everything down into tiny chunks, you can measure anything.
What you're describing there, I agree wholeheartedly, and I totally get that. I'm always looking for a next step in the relationship and the process. So if I'm on a call with somebody, my goal is to know where I want to take that next. And you've got a really clear definition there by what you described. Unfortunately, that intimidates somebody who's already got a phobia of selling. But let's take that same process you mentioned and take the word sales out of it. And now you're talking about relationship building. You're talking about a conversation flow. It's you use the word sales, but no point in there is it a dirty word. It's really just about taking things from point A to point Z and recognizing that you don't go get married to somebody by walking up to them and saying, "Hi, my name is Paul. Will you marry me?" Not without getting, punched in the face or something like that because you're some sort of weirdo. You've got to go through a process.
Yeah, and like you said, that's with anything, whether it be at a cocktail party or whether it be in person or whether it be through the internet or anything else. But here's the deal, like sales is only given a bad reputation by Hollywood and some things like that. Most of us love our sales guys. We just don't call them our salespeople. Like cars are one of the only industries left where people are like car salesmen. Like, so they don't call mortgage salesmen, they call them loan officers. They don't call real estate salespeople, they call them real estate agents or realtors. They don't call them, car part salesmen. They call them, service advisors. You know what I mean? Like the car sales is really one of the last place. And so people say, oh, like a used car salesman, because they're one of the few industries where they still have that name attached to them. And the reason why it's got a negative stigma is because Hollywood's been building movies about slime bag salespeople for forever, because that's what the public's interested in, whether it be, Wall Street with Gordon Gekko or The Wolf of Wall Street, or whether it be, every sales movie that you watch out there, that's popular anyway, the salesperson is a villainous salesperson. So we've been taught that, anytime that name salespeople is attached to it, Hollywood says it's bad. So we pay attention to that. Meanwhile, across America, people love salespeople left and right. People love their real estate agent. They love their mortgage broker. They love their jewelry dealer. They love their diamond broker. They love the guy that sells them service and tells them where's the best way to take care of their vehicle when they take it to the shop. They love the waiter that sells them food in the restaurant that they go to, right? They just don't have that name sales attached or salesman attached to their title, and those industries have moved away from that. And the few industries that are left where they still use that terminology are the people that they automatically have that bad stigma. But meanwhile, like I said, everybody truthfully loves at least one salesperson.
I love that. And it's unfortunately, it's a label that so many people are even afraid to wear. I remember when business development became, obviously, sometimes people describe business development and sales as two different roles, but it's really all part of the same beast. And people started to use business development because they thought it sounded less like a salesperson, or now it's like a client manager. And they're so afraid of being labeled sales because, like you said, it goes back to that whole thing with the car salespeople. But at the end of the day, if your job is to bring business in the door, generate revenue, it's a sales role. And entrepreneurs almost inevitably have to be in some form of a sales role, or they're not going to survive, or somebody in their organization needs to be. So let's take that person who's adverse to the selling process. You've already given some great tips. We're talking to Ryan Stewman, hardcore closer. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
With your business facing more competition than ever, you probably feel behind in marketing and sales efforts. Luckily for you, the team at Actus Sales Intelligence is the one resource you need to support your business development efforts. Their sales training, strategic planning, lead generation, and creative digital marketing solutions, which includes ROI-driving websites, search engine optimization, and content management, will help you leap over the competition. Sell smarter with Actus Sales Intelligence. Visit ActusSales.com. That's ACTUS Sales.com. Or give us a call today at 844-222-8876. That's 844-222-8876. 844-222-8876. We're going in for more Boss. Boss Academy Radio. Boss Academy Radio. Boss Academy Radio brought to you by Actus Sales Intelligence. Here's Paul Kirch.
Welcome back to Boss Academy Radio. I'm your host, Paul Kirch, and I want to thank you for being here. We've got Ryan Stewman, hardcore closer. Let's go back in. What about the entrepreneur out there that's really trying to build up their business? They're wearing a lot of hats, but they've got to go out and make calls. How do they start? How do they really formulate a process? Because you talked about a sequence. Obviously, sequences are very important. How do they go about building something like that for themselves?
Well, it's obviously that's industry specific, but you want to break it down. So you want to take the first step in the process of making that sale, whether it's identifying someone that's in the phone book, if you're a cold caller, or whether it's identifying what neighborhood to knock doors on if you're a door knocker, or what audience it is to target if you're an advertiser. But you want to map that process out from start to finish, where you get your prospects, how you're going to interact with them, what steps you want them to take. Because here's another reason why a lot of people fail to make sales, whether they like it or not, whether they are comfortable making sales or not. It's because they don't have a process that they can follow. See, it's just like anything else. Once you put it on paper, it becomes real. And once you create a process, then you're not necessarily selling and letting emotion sway your opinion of that prospect. If you're selling according to your process that's on paper, you're like, okay, they said this, then this is my next step. Okay, they're at this point, this is my next step. So you've just got a series of smaller sales to break down. I've got a program, just by the way, it's called Show Up and Close. You can go to showupandclose.com. There's a couple free videos there that your people can check out as well. And it'll help you map out and break down that process, and then also map out the objection process too, because I believe that you need to be prepared. One of the strongest things I've ever done for my sales career is every time I enter a new niche, I list out a list of reasons they wouldn't want to buy my stuff. And then after I write all those reasons down, I go back and give rebuttals on reasons why that's incorrect thinking and I'm right. That way, when we get on the phone and they give me one of those reasons, then I already have an answer for them and I don't have to think about it or get emotionally involved in it. I'm like, oh, they just don't know that this exists. And I'm already prepared. I, as the salesman, am way more prepared than they are as the prospect, right? And then also on top of that, I also list a reasons why people would want to buy my product. Just like I said, for the mortgage industry, I know that people don't want a house, but they're an expansion of family or losing their kids, going off, empty nesters, retiring, so on and so forth. I list all that stuff out too, of things that I need to try to uncover reasons they would move. So I know all their objections and then most of their reasons for doing stuff. And as I run across new stuff, I just add it to my list, right? So that I'm never shocked again. But at this point, I've been doing it long enough to where I'm prepared and I pretty much know what they're going to say when they've come through my advertisements or got on the phone with me anyway.
Isn't it shocking, though, how few people really take the time to, you mentioned rebuttals, you can call them objections. They don't take the time to really formulate a response. And then they're caught off guard. It's like, well, your pricing's too high. Or, you know what, we're happy with our current supplier. You don't have an answer to those. You're dead in the water. And so few people take the time to formulate something that they can rely on time and time again.
Yeah, and really, how could you be unprepared like that? You know, sales is a business where you write your own check, you make your own money. Your boss doesn't determine your worth to the corporation. The marketplace determines your worth to the corporation. And so you've got a chance to where you can write an unlimited check. Why wouldn't you want to educate yourself and arm yourself that way? Every second that you're on that phone or every second you're having that chat, you have a better chance of making a sale than the next person. Because here's the thing, somebody's going to sell them that stuff. It might as well be you. If you're the best and your business offers the best stuff, it might as well be you. And if you don't, then somebody of inferior value is going to take their money. And then, 9 times out of 10, you might have to clean that up on the back end anyway if it doesn't go right. But they're going to buy from someone, and you need to give them every opportunity to buy from you, especially if you know for a fact that you're the person that, stands to help benefit them the most.
Well, you just said something there, and that's a mouthful. And if you're an entrepreneur out there and you really believe in what you're selling, I always tell people it's like sales is not invasive if you really believe you can help someone and that their life will be better if you sell them your product over someone else buying it. And so many entrepreneurs truly are passionate about what they sell, but they're afraid to go out and do that outreach. But you're not invading someone's space if you're doing something to help them. Now, they may see it that way, but that could be your approach, and it just may take a little bit of work to get through the door the right way.
Yeah. And like I said, and arming yourself with the information up front, because a good salesperson wants to bond with their client, hey, how's the weather? Awesome, get that feeling with them and stuff like that. And when you do that, you're emotionally invested in that person. You get all emotionally out of whack when they tell you no. But like I said, if you have it on paper and you're already armed with the information and you become used to it, then it takes the emotion out of it. When you bond with them, you're bonding with them, but you're still doing your job.
Outstanding, Ryan. This is great stuff, buddy. I appreciate it. I knew when you came on, you were going to bring all kinds of great insights and some great information for the people out there. Now, you've got a really cool social sharing tool that you've created, and I want to talk about this real quickly because you're known for sales. You're called the hardcore closer for a reason, but that's obviously a term that is really meant to be a positive one and not a negative one, but you created this product called Clixo. And I love this because we all have multiple shareable links. You know, we're on Twitter, Facebook, we got email, we got all these different links. You've created a place where people can go out and manage all of their links and then share one link. So tell us how we can learn more about Clixo and how we can find you.
Yeah, well, Paul, a good salesman's job is to find a need and fill it. And I feel that Clixo was something that was needed in the marketplace, and I stepped up as a salesperson and filled it. So that's kind of how it fits into my wheelhouse. Going on podcasts like this and sharing my blog posts and meeting people in person and speaking events. You know, not everybody's on Facebook these days. Not everybody's on Snapchat. Not everybody's on Instagram. So what Clixo, CLYXO.com, what Clixo does is it just gives you a place to be able to find somebody. So I can go, hey, go to Clixo.com/closer, and you can see all my social media channels that I'm active on right there. Now, it's not a social media channel. It's just a place for you to send me a friend request or a place for you to follow me on Twitter. You're not going to see any of my information or anything, because ultimately what I'm creating is the world's first social media search engine. In the future, my goal and my plan is for people to go to Google for information and they go to Clixo when they're looking for a person. And so, you know, you may have to take 4 or 5 different Google searches to be able to find somebody with a popular names, Facebook and LinkedIn and everything else. Whereas with my system, you just go there, type in their name, you can see their picture right next to it, and all their stuff's located in one place. So Clixo.com, sign up for your free profile. It's absolutely free. Like, I don't ever plan on charging regular users. You can set up a business page there and everything else. It's just a free tool for entrepreneurs like you that are listening to this show to simplify your life. You can put the Clixo logo on your email, your printout flyers, everything else. No more putting 10 different links, no more putting 10 different icons. Just one place solves it all.
Yeah, it's great. And, I jumped right on it when you told me what the premise was, because that is one of the frustrations I think we all have. And, juggling social media is a nightmare anyway, let alone juggling the shareable links. So now you've simplified that process. Hey, we love it. So tell us how we can learn more about you and how people can connect.
Well, it'd be weird if I didn't just say go to Clixo.com/closer. There's all my connections right there. My website, little bio about me, like everywhere that you could possibly find me is right there live on that site. Every site that I have, every social media channel that I have listed on there is one that I'm active on. So if it's not listed, it's one I don't mess with. So just connect with me there. Send me a message if you want, tweet me on Twitter, however, but all my stuff's found at Clixo.com, CLYXO.com/closer. And, there you'll also see my blog, and I get about 500,000 visits a month to that blog. It's full of all sorts of sales content and everything else, and it's free to sign up and get information from there as well. So again, Clixo.com/closer.
Ryan, thanks so much. We appreciate you being on Boss Academy Radio.
Hey, I'm just glad to come on here and spread some value, some sales knowledge for your listeners, Paul. So I just appreciate you bringing me on today.
Absolutely, buddy. Take care. Ryan's one of those guys, you just can't help but like him. His energy's great. His experience level is amazing. And I love the fact that he's not afraid to be vulnerable. He shares his experience from the past that could have broken a lot of people and allowed him to be the professional that he is today. So Ryan, thank you so much for being on. And we hope that you found this valuable. And speaking of value, come out to bossacademy.com and subscribe. Follow along out there, because you're going to get more guests like Ryan and some just amazing content. We want to help you take your business to the next level. As stated at the beginning, BOSS stands for Business Ownership Success Strategies. That's what we're all about. We really do want to provide that to you every single episode. One of the things that I think is really kind of concerning, and I see this a lot, is the corporate America that we once knew, that took care of you, provided pensions. That's all but gone. I mean, there are some companies that maybe still offer that type of stability, but for the most part, there's really not a lot of stability in corporate America. So if you've thought about starting a company, or you are an entrepreneur, we don't want to see you fail. We want to see you succeed. Our goal at Boss Academy is to be the last boss you'll ever need. So come on out, join in the conversation, and gain some great insights, because we are going to help you take your business to the next level. iTunes users, of course, you can go out to bossacademy.com/iTunes and subscribe and provide some feedback out there. As I stated at the top of the show, that feedback really is used to measure how we're doing. Once again, I'm Paul Kirch, host and founder of Boss Academy Radio. I really appreciate you being here. I truly hope you have an amazing day. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in today to Boss Academy Radio with Paul Kirch. Join us again next week when you, the listener, can continue gaining answers and the direction on how to take your business to the next level. Get a competitive edge even in the toughest of economies. No hype, just real-world answers from a guy who has been there and done it. Until then, if you're in need of advice and services, write to Paul Kirch at info@bossacademyradio.com. Thanks for listening. Boss Academy Radio. Boss Academy Radio.